Attack on Titan is a roller coaster thrill ride packed full of action. From the very first episode on, it just comes at you at a breakneck pace. And while I absolutely love AOT for how chaotic, hectic, and in your face it can be, some of my favorite aspects of the show are the more subtle elements that are used for world building and character development. There's so many little details that are used throughout the story to really help you feel for the characters in the world of AOT. While I plan to cover more of those subtle details of AOT in the future, and trust me, there are a ton of them, this video will focus on how love and relationship are used by the storytellers and writers to paint a real, depressing picture of what it would be like to live inside those walls. Saying that the world of Attack on Titan is cold and depressing is a massive understatement. The characters in the story face mortal danger every second and around every corner. People get dropped off at an astounding rate in this show, especially in the first season. While there are tons of death in the season, the most shocking deaths to me were the absolute curb stomping that the female Titan gave to the Levi Squad. The Levi Squad's death really hits hard, but there's one member of the Levi Squad whose death hits just a little bit harder, and that would be Petra's. You see her get smashed and pretty much die instantly, which isn't really gruesome for AOT standards, but how they focus on her dead body and how they throw her out of the carriage to reduce the weight to get away from the Titans chasing them, and seeing Levi look back and just have a blank look on his face, it really just gets to me. All that was tough, but the real dagger in the heart is how Petra's father walks up to Levi when he returns inside the walls and brings up how Petra was talking about marriage and her loyalty to Levi. It's a tough scene to watch, and it's just as hard to understand. I didn't get it at first, in all honesty. Was it Isayama hinting that Levi and Petra were a couple? I don't really know, but I've looked on the web and nobody really has an answer. But I think it was done on purpose. There's a saying in writing that goes, show, don't tell. But in this instance, the exact opposite is done. They don't show Levi and Petra being lovey-dovey, but obviously from what her dad said, there was something there. Often in stories, love is one of the most powerful pushing forces, but in Attack on Titan, it means nothing. Not because the characters are incapable of loving, but because the world they live in is so bleak and dangerous that even if you love someone, it gets put on the back burner because survival is the #1 priority. And this little 30-second scene really hits home that idea of how depressing the life of somebody in the world of AOT really would, and how lonely it would be. That's not a one-time occurrence either. Annie spares Armin because she likes him, at least I think so, and still almost kills him later. Reiner loves Historia and still stabs the scouts in the back. This is only one way that AOT and the writers over at AOT use love to make you care for the characters. There's a couple other ones as well. One other way they use love is unrequited love. Unrequited love is used a little more in the story, so there are a few more examples of it. Annie has unrequited love for Armin, Reiner has unrequited love for Historia, and Jean has unrequited love for Mikasa. Annie never acts on her love for Armin because she is basically his enemy, same with Reiner. Jean can't act on his feelings for Mikasa because Mikasa's feelings for Eren. Mikasa's love for Eren is sorta unrequited, but it never really specifies that she loves him in a relationship type way, or a brotherly way. There's more evidence that she wants to be more than friends with Eren, but she never attempts anything, so we can never really be sure. Also, the whole Ackerman connection complicates things a lot, so Mikasa and Eren aren't really an example of unrequited love. However, they are an example of the third way Isayama uses love in Attack on Titan. The third way he uses it would be love as a pushing force for action. Mikasa saved Eren countless times because she loves him. It never goes past that, however. Ymir loves Historia and saves her multiple times as well, and actually ends up sacrificing herself for her pretty much. Action love, as I like to call it, is different from how most stories use love because of one factor: a conclusion to the love story. In most stories, the hero ends up saving the damsel in distress and they end up kissing at the end, or in The Office, how Jim and Pam end up kissing and eventually getting married. But imagine if they didn't end up dating and they just remained in a weird gray area that's more than friends but less than lovers. That's how AOT uses action love. Mikasa loves Eren, but I highly doubt you will ever see a romantic situation that comes from it. Isayama basically uses action love to set up who holds allegiance to who. Mikasa follows Eren everywhere, and Ymir and Historia were inseparable. With Eren and Mikasa, Mikasa's love influences her decision and what she does, and it will probably be that way until the end of the story, but it will never go past that. Which is kind of sad because most stories I feel like they would have the two people that have been close together forever end up falling in love, but there's really no place for that in AOT. Most of the characters in AOT that we've come to know and love are fighters and not lovers. Not because they're evil or mean, but just because there's really no place for it in the story. These characters are fighting for their lives in every moment. And while the love that they share for each another leads them to be heroic and things like that, it will never lead them to romance. And I think that's kind of sad. Romance in life and in stories is often a pushing factor. It's, what we root for. We root for Jim and Pam to get married. We root for Prince Charming to find Cinderella. Because in our own lives, we're all looking for love. And to be held back from that or, gated away from that is incredibly sad. And while there are characters in AOT that do find love, they're not part of the Survey Corps and they're not the ones fighting. They're just normal, average people that are living in the walls. But as far as we know, nobody in the Survey Corps is in love or in a relationship. No one in the Survey Corps can be in love because it would be nothing more than a distraction. It's a heartbreaking thought to think that the characters that we know and love so well will never really know love. They'll never be in a relationship. They'll never have that. But Isayama did that on purpose, to paint a real, depressing picture of what it would be like to fight in the world of Attack on Titan. I'm Uncle Ben. Thanks for watching.